Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 262, recording on Sunday, February 15th, 2026. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name's Andrew.
And on this week's show, we'll be discussing the Sony State of Play for February 12th, 2026. Blue Haze is back, baby. Get ready. We'll be going down through every announcement and a shadow drop, a stealth drop that Sean and I have played. How you guys doing?
Good.
Pretty good. It was a big week for games. I did not get to play as many as I wanted to.
I dabbled in many. I don't know if we're going to talk about all of them. We're probably going to postpone thoughts on Reanimal. Might postpone thoughts on Mario Tennis. I've played Mario Tennis Fever, pardon me. Played a little bit of that, but will be some Sons of Sparta talk and some eugenics talk if we have time. But let's just get right into the State of Play. An hour-long State of Play, one of the longer streaming shows I can remember in recent memory from all the developers, actually an hour and 10. So let's start with Kena, Scars of Cosmora, the follow-up to Kena Bridge of Spirits, which I've never finished. I've started it twice, I think. Does anyone finish that game?
No, I haven't tried it, actually.
From Ember Lab, I believe is the name of the studio. Former special effects, like movie, 3D animation special effects people. Yeah, that moved into game development. So, any thoughts on this one? Just cinematic stuff for the most part.
Yeah, for me, it looked, visually stunning, kind of like the original game. So, I believe they did talk about how they focused a bit more on the combat and stuff like that. And I believe that was sort of like a lackluster thing from the discussions I think I remember us having about it. So it'll be interesting to see how much, they've improved their game design chops onto their second game. And obviously it sold well enough that Sony would give them another round 2 of the same IP. So I'm kind of excited to see where this leads. And I know there was some good looking animals in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, nothing visually stood out to me that I remember it from when I watched it on Thursday. Like it looked very good. They're great artists, so I'm not surprised there. But I remember, like I said, I've tried it twice. I like the game. I was kind of motivated to go back and try it again if there wasn't a million things to play, because I didn't hate it. I just never finished it. But I remember the biggest issue being it was too polished. They had everything was like this big transition. I remember you would put this mask on and it would do this kind of camera movement to do it every time that impeded gameplay, and even some of the blocking and parry mechanics, waiting for an animation of something to get you into that state was too long and not responsive enough. So I will be curious to see what the actual gameplay is like. Sean, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I played the first one very briefly, like maybe an hour or two, maybe. So this looked very good. Definitely made me want to go back and play more of the first one. I do remember there being I don't know that I got far enough to really encounter this, but I feel like a lot of people always said that it's surprisingly like a harder game than you would think based on the visuals and the vibe and stuff like that. So I am curious what that means for this next one. But I mean, I assume this is a Sony exclusive, or at least PS5 and PC. So that's
I can't remember if the last one was a timed exclusive. I think it came to PC eventually.
Yeah, I think it was timed exclusive.
I don't know if it ever came to Xbox though. I have to look that up.
I don't think so.
No, but in terms of the combat and difficulty, I do feel like there was a general sentiment around the first game that it was hard, maybe not intentionally, but they skewed hard because it extends playtime and having to redo sections. If there's not that much content, that was a way to up the average playtime of the game, which I'm obviously very against. I hate when games do that. I think a better, shorter game is always preferable, but that might not be true with gamers. So we'll see what they decide to do with the sequel. And no release date. Was it 2026?
I think
I'm not seeing it on the PlayStation blog.
It said, I wrote down 2026 in my
Okay,
notes. So I think that was said that at the end. One thing I'm surprised from like a IP standpoint is they seem to have abandoned those like little black fuzzball characters
Yeah.
that were in the first game, which I thought were like one of the most iconic things about that game and one of the most like appealing things. So I kind of surprised that they abandoned them. I mean, they maybe didn't abandon them, but at least they're not in this. I didn't notice them in this
I
like
thought
first
they were
marketing.
in the trailer somewhere.
Were they?
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I
Okay.
kind of remember seeing something like that and being like, oh yeah, that was a thing in the first game. But
Okay, maybe they were in there. I just missed them.
Yeah, they were called Rot. I was like, I definitely remember those as well. And they had, I believe, a plushie at some point,
Yeah.
and they were iconic. I agree. So,
Yeah.
an interesting decision. Okay, next up, Ghost of Yote Legends DLC, multiplayer DLC with like kind of where it gets a zombie-ish twist. I think. I believe they did something very similar for Ghost of Tsushima that I
Yeah.
never really played. Did anyone try that?
No. But they did do it.
I thought we tried it once or something, maybe, but maybe not.
Maybe with Dax because he liked that game, and it did not hook me, whatever it was. So this really didn't move my needle at all. Next up, Death Stranding 2 on the beach coming to PC. Not a ton to say, although an image keeps coming up on social media for me. I don't know if you guys have seen it from Death Stranding 2 of like this. It's almost like an amusement park with like sparklers or fireworks attached to everything. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. And I'm like, this might be the best visual in all of 2025 from any game that I can see. And I'm like, it's enough to make me want to go back to that game. So it's on my radar. It looks, that GIF that I've seen a bunch of places looks incredible.
The trailers always look great. So it's really just a time commitment for me and a question of, do I try to go back to the first one, which I still kind of want to do, but
I'm assuming, Sean, you didn't make it to that part of the game, right? Like you didn't see that in Death Stranding 2?
Oh, I haven't even played Death
Oh, you haven't played a minute of it?
No.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
Have not.
Okay. Next up, For Loop, which I can't remember who the developers are for this.
This is Bad Robot, I think, right?
Oh, that's right. That's why it's significant. Bad Robot Games. And this is kind of a roguelike extraction shooter kind of thing, multiplayer. We've talked about it before, clearly borrowing from Returnal and some Housemarque stuff. And not a lot of people talking about this game that I've heard. I thought this showed very well in this presentation. And that boss with the grid lines and avoiding and just imagining how you have to coordinate 4 players in different areas and who can shoot weak points of the bosses. I don't know. I'm kind of sold on this game. I don't know where you guys are at.
I thought it looked pretty good as well. It definitely gave me some Helldivers 2 vibes in terms of that whole, going back to the mothership or whatever the base is and like choosing your missions is like essentially what you do in Helldivers. You just it's on a globe, and then the whole. They didn't really, from what I remember, they didn't really explain the progression aspect because it seemed like there was, a mission you could pick out of 4, I think, and then it would progress to something else after. Like it looked like there was some sort of like line chart or something.
Yeah, it's called the probability map.
Probability map, yes, of course.
Yeah. But I assume that's just kind of like the standard roguelike kind of way you progress through levels and branch off to different scenarios or whatever.
Probably. Yeah. So, I mean, it looked pretty good. I mean, I don't know if I would play this, to be honest, but it definitely was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. When I saw it listed as a game being shown, I was like, okay, I could just skip this one. But actually, I watched it and I thought it looked pretty good. And I think the first time we watched it, there was like a big emphasis on the whole, like you die and then you get like rebuilt in the like, your body gets reconstructed thing and how that's a thing. And they kind of went into like the lore of that or something, I remember. And it was just like, who cares? Like, why are you talking about this in the first time we saw this game? And this time they just kind of like quickly brushed over it and like continued with gameplay stuff. So I thought that was a good choice in terms of, getting right into the meat and potatoes of what this game is. So I thought it showed quite well.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise for me. Next up is just some more stuff on Pragmata and them announcing the demo was available on PlayStation, which it was there earlier in the week. I talked about it last week. Sean, did you play the Pragmata demo?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone
You said
back.
you played it a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. But I have to say, my biggest concern playing the demo was just the environment felt pretty boring, and I was curious how they're gonna expand upon it visually as you play the game. But what they showed during this, it was more like much bigger environments, outdoor environments with kind of this effect of, I don't even know how you describe it. It's like colors running, but physical matter running through the environment that I thought was an interesting aesthetic and art direction. So it kind of alleviated some of my concerns about expanding this world visually into a full universe, and like especially comparing it to other action games that have vibrant environments, which wasn't really represented in the demo. So it even made a case. I was already going to pre-order it and buy it, but I was like, felt a lot better about it after this.
Yeah, not too much else to add from me, but I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good too. I gotta definitely try the demo first, but when you mentioned Binary Domain, I mean, that's almost an automatic buy automatically for me. So
It's got to be.
I know. So I mean, I think the demo will just be the cherry on top of the purchase order.
Bye Binary Domain.
That's right.
Next up, Resident Evil Requiem, just an update. I'll be honest, I am so sick of hearing about it. It's in every streaming show. People are going to buy it. I think they're actually hurting themselves by talking about it so much, but I'm still kind of excited for it.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Nothing else to add.
Agreed.
All right. Legacy of Kain Defiance Remastered. So this is the third entry. They had the Soul Reaver collection last year, I believe, with the first two. Obviously, aside from Legacy of Kain, which is available as a classic on PlayStation Plus Premium and just to purchase. But I haven't played any of these games. I don't know why they're beloved, but I don't remember what happened with the Soul Reaver collection, but this one had a significantly changed graphic mode. I don't know if that was in the previous Soul Reaver HD upgrades, but like they actually changed the artwork for stuff in this from what I could see.
Yeah. I mean, was the last one? Yeah. So it's Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that familiar with these games, so it was hard for me to tell what was new and what wasn't, but it looked kind of interesting. I mean, it's the kind of thing where it was like, if it was on PlayStation Plus or something, I might check it out. I don't think I would buy this. They did mention that there's a playable demo of the canceled sequel to this game, Dark Prophecy, which I guess if you're a fan of the series, that might be a little, extra bit of bonus content you'd be kind of interested in.
Okay. Next up, Brigandine Abyss, which apparently is part of a series that I have never heard of before. Anyone heard of this series or
No?
No? Okay. Latest installment in Happiness Brigadine series, which goes all the way back to 98 on the PlayStation. The effects looked okay in the combat, but other than that, I mean, this was not moving my needle. Huck, you're the RPG guy.
Yeah, I mean,
needle movage.
I don't even think this was an RPG. I think it was more like a strategy game, like a hex tile based strategy game.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only thing I found interesting is that I know there's that like new Heroes of Might and Magic game, which is also a like hex based tile strategy game coming out kind of soon from Ubi. So kind of interesting that another one pops up around the same time, which, these don't come out very often. So that was the only thing that really interests me about it. But I mean, unless it gets rave reviews or something, I don't think I'll be looking into this one.
It does feel like they're kind of digging into, so many older games and trying to bring them back out now to the point where they've really hit a things that games that have a very niche audience are now getting the remaster treatment. And I mean, I don't know, maybe this is a bigger deal than I'm aware of, but it's just crazy how many of these games are being brought out now.
Yeah, even stuff in Nintendo Directs that you're like, what's the audience for these? And there's like multiple entries in the series. I'm assuming a lot of it is possibly in Japan, like some of the appreciation and legacy. So
Yeah.
tough to say for sure. Next up, some Dead or Alive updates. Dead or Alive 6 last round, coming to PlayStation 5, and a 30th anniversary project, or I think they teased Dead or Alive 7 or whatever the next one's going to be. I have no affinity for the series really, so not a lot to add.
No, neither.
Me either.
Just give us Extreme Beach Volleyball.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what
a
we're
remaster we need.
All right, next up, Control Resonant. Sensitive game here at Game Junk, the Control series, and Remedy, Huck's Game of the Year. 2019, I believe. So gotta defer to you. Resonant.
I mean, it does look very different from Control. It does seem to sprinkle in some of the oddities. I thought the gravity shifting mechanic they showed off was kind of neat, but at the same time, the like level design was odd because you're like jumping these huge chasms, and like it looks like every chasm you needed to double jump and then use some sort of like grapple mechanic. Like that was it. Like everything seemed the same distance apart. And then when I see that, I'm always thinking, how am I supposed to know that I can make that? I guess they have enemies over there, so you could just like assume you can make it, but it didn't look like there's any, like, how in like Uncharted games and Tomb Raider, they have like the little like white ledge or yellow ledge to be like, this is a place you can grab onto. I didn't see anything like that, like no visual language that was like, hey, you could jump across to here. So it's kind of like I wonder how many of these things are going to be where you like double jump off into no man's land and then oops, that like ledge you're trying to get to just is too far and you won't be able to grapple it, and frustrating. But I mean, other than that, I'm a little more interested than I was after the first trailer we watched, but not that much more.
Yeah, when I saw the gravity switching, I thought of Sean. I thought this might pull him in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, some of the mechanics look kind of interesting, but I don't know. It's weird. Like, I was a fan of Control as well, but to me, like, part of the appeal was being in that building and kind of the atmosphere of that and just the weirdness of the things you encounter. And somehow it says it's not an open world game, but it definitely has that feel. It kind of reminded me of Suicide Squad, weirdly, because it's a lot of like seemingly jumping across rooftops and like just being outside in a city environment. And that was not really doing it for me. So I am interested, but I'm not loving what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, I'm definitely the Control / Remedy critic or biggest naysayer for their games. And I will say I was more intrigued than the last time we saw it. I think the gravity switching element feels like it fits within the Control universe. And I thought how it happened gameplay wise felt seamless and relatively intuitive from what we saw. So I was like, that could be a lot of fun and they could do some twists on that. My criticisms from the last time we talked about it still stand. It feels like it's devolved into melee combat that feels very generic. And I think last time I said it reminded me almost of stuff we prototyped on X-Men Destiny, which was, 12 years ago and kind of got moved away from at some point. So I don't know how much variety there's going to be in that. But to me, the biggest issue with the combat is the camera position. You're so far away from the player. It's like you're not, if there's cool animations or other things going on, it's at such a distance, it's not very impactful. So I'll be curious if they do anything to address some of those things or, make the combat just more spectacle in the final game, because it feels very distant from what's happening. And that in today's third person combat landscape, it really stands out as being not that exciting to me.
Yeah.
Next up, Crimson Moon, which is kind of another 3D combat game. I'm not quite sure if it's a Souls-like or not, but has a cel-shaded or very colorful art style with some co-op gameplay, it looks, as well. I don't know how many player co-op, if it said, but I don't know. Ultimately, looking back on the show, I didn't think it looked bad, but it didn't stand out to me.
Yeah, I completely forgot what this was. I just had to go and like look it up, because every time I hear Crimson Moon, I think of, for some reason, Rainbow Moon on the Vita, which was like a turn-based strategy game. And I don't know why I had that association with Moon, but I just had no recollection of what this game was. And when I looked back on it, it looked kind of almost like PS3 era game in terms of the art style. It's a little bizarre. It looks like a little kind of like, a lot of focus on the combat, but then the environments are very like sparse castle looking, from what I remember of the trailer that I just watched and already forgot about. So
the art direction was also like, the color palette wasn't doing much for me. It's apparently developed by Probably Monsters, who launched or released that Storm Lancers game that I think was a Switch 2 and Steam exclusive in December. But I thought the lighting was kind of weird too, like shafts of light and colored lights that felt kind of dated as well. And when you were saying name association, I thought you were going to say Crimson Desert, which seems like it's talked about everywhere. And is this like a way of just like those video releases back in the day, when they would beat major releases to home video and have a name that was almost the same? Are they trying to pull some Crimson cred over and some bucks?
Yeah, I just looked it up, and that Crimson Desert game isn't even out yet. It comes out in March.
Yeah.
So I definitely was confused about that, but yeah, looks kind of generic. It says here action adventure RPG. They are not using the Souls-like label. But yeah, unless I hear great things, probably not going to be something I check out.
Yeah, but honestly, didn't look horrible. It has potential, but there's a lot of stuff out there right now. Just Crimson Desert seems to be something that's kind of coming up, and like how bold and big of a game it claims to be, and people still don't really know what it is. It's coming out in March, and it's been hyped up for years, and very interested to see where that game goes, and if it's a turd or delivers on what it's been promising on for a long time. Beasts of Reincarnation, which we talked about in the Xbox partner showcase. I have nothing to add here. Anyone?
No, except that I thought because it was in the Xbox thing that it was at least an Xbox timed exclusive or something like that, but it doesn't seem to be.
No, I think maybe it's coming to Game Pass, but I'm not even sure about that. Rayman, this was a surprise announcement drop, not that day, but it released the next day. Rayman 30th Anniversary Edition, which I believe is just the first game and iterations on the first game, possibly Game Boy and some portable systems. And kind of cool looking special features. I don't know if I'd actually watch them or care about them all that much, but maybe for fans of the series. I obviously like the Legends and Origins games, but the original three mean almost nothing to me. So what were you guys thinking about this?
I mean, go ahead, Sean.
I was moderately interested. If it was like an all three together kind of package, I probably would have bought it, but I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I might check it out at some point, but yeah, I agree. I didn't really play these back in the day.
Yeah, I never played them either. I had a friend who had the original one on PlayStation, and when I'd go over to his place, we'd dabble in it a bit, but he loved it, and I never really got into it, to be honest. And so I'm kind of interested in giving it another go because obviously it's a still around. It's still a series that gets in a game every once in a while, and might be interested to go back and play the roots. But it's kind of like it'd be nice if this was like in a collection like the Virtual Console or something where they just like add it to a PlayStation thing and you just get to dabble in it for a bit and then move on. But can't have everything.
I will say, if nothing else came out this week and there wasn't like a ton of things to play, I might have popped on it just because I think Michel Ancel is one of like a kind of forgotten developer that doesn't get enough credit, and replaying Beyond Good and Evil last year, like it aged so well. I can't believe how much it holds up. And I think recently, either online or offline, we were talking about Peter Jackson's King Kong, which he developed as a launch game for 360, which was also surprisingly good from what I remember. And I'd be curious to go back, and I disregarded Rayman when it first came out because I just thought it looked kind of goofy and slow, for lack of a better word. But I've never actually given it a fair shot. So I'm kind of interested in the origins.
Do we think we'll get a Rayman Legends sequel at some point?
I don't think so. I mean, well, that development team, they shifted to Lost Crown, right? I believe, and then they got shut down.
I think so.
And I mean, they're great. That's a great team. It's so disappointing because I feel like those are the best Ubi games by far of the last 10 years, the Rayman games and Lost Crown. So it just goes to show you.
I mean, I see one random post from the past couple of weeks saying that there's supposedly a Rayman Legends remake in the works, which is like, do we need that? What would that be?
I'll take it. I mean, I love those games. So it's just, I hate how like Ubi's creative direction, or more business direction, I feel like they go the wrong way with everything in terms of what's good that they make. And they just appeal to, I don't know, like generic gamers, and someone needs to steer the ship there and correct it. Like someone who knows something about games needs to get in charge at that place.
It's all about the shareholders and the stock price. That's all they care about. Although that hasn't been great either. It's
the most depressing, like, major game company by far. Mm-hmm. And next up, Mina the Hollower, the Yacht Club Games, developers of Shovel Knight, which we've heard about quite a bit. I'm going to defer to Sean on this one. I feel like this is a Sean game, if anything.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I did download the demo. I think I had downloaded the Steam demo like last year, and I don't think I got around to playing it. So I do want to check it out. I mean, the one thing that I was hoping for could still happen. They didn't announce it. I thought it might be like a PlayStation Plus extra game. And maybe the fact that this demo was like a PS5 exclusive maybe is a hint towards that, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I was actually kind of on the fence with this before, visually especially. I thought it looked very kind of muddy and things didn't look distinct. And one thing they said here, I don't know if I've heard it before, was that it's a loving tribute to portable games, like Game Boy Color era kind of stuff. And I personally don't get that vibe from the visuals. I was not a big, portable player around that time, but
I would say it looks like a Game Boy Advance game from the screenshots, but
gameplay wise, I thought this was the best it ever looked. Like, I was like, okay, the combat looked fun, and there were some powers and mechanics that we always compared it to Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo being very similar to that. And based on this showing, I was like, I think I will give this a chance no matter what.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling. I wasn't sold on it. And this is Yacht Club, right?
Yeah.
Exists? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know this game's been in development for a long time. So I feel like Shovel Knight has given them enough, money in the bank that they're not going to make a shitty game. And if they're going to take this long to make an NES or Game Boy Color style game, it's probably going to be pretty fun to play. And I don't know. I can't see them just like, being like, all right, well, we can't make this any better. Ship it out. It's shit, even though we've spent, 6 years on it or whatever it has been. So I bet it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the bosses look really good, and it's spring 2026, so I still think I think Huck's onto something with they're making sure it's good when they release it, and they're giving themselves a little polish time, and yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for it now. Next up, I think it's a standalone game, Neva Prologue, which examines this, or no, it might be DLC.
Yeah, it's DLC.
Yeah, okay. Which is just extra content leading up to the main story of Neva. We all played Neva, right?
I did not.
No, okay. I liked it a lot. It's not something I think about all that often, but I could return for some DLC.
I'm surprised they didn't make this a standalone game, because you got to be pretty committed to like have the game installed and then install the DLC or whatever, and even just be kind of paying attention. I mean, I guess having it in the showcase helps, but why not go for a fresh like SKU and submit it, unless it's only like an hour long and they don't think people would jive with that. But it's a bit of a bizarre thing. I didn't even know it was DLC actually until you guys just mentioned it. I thought it was a standalone game.
I have a feeling it is pretty short. I mean, the original game is only like 5 hours or something, so it can't be that long. But it's a little weird that it's a prologue. I mean, I can't think of too many examples. Usually the prologue would be like a little demo you release before the game comes out or something like that. Usually you don't do that for DLC, but I mean, I might check it out. Why not?
Well, and when did Neva came out? Like, it was a while ago, right? Like a year and a half or so more?
I think that, I think sometime 2024.
That's like a long time to sit on DLC, or to like hang around for DLC to be dropped. Normally you put out DLC in a pretty tight window after the game, so that people who are still interested in the game are kind of still have it installed, still thinking about it, and then they're like, oh, I'll pop on this DLC. And I think DLC adoption is quite low. I think it's like under 5% or under 10%. It's not a highly sought after thing people buy.
Well, I guess the one thing is this was included in the PlayStation Plus games for this month, right? I think.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe that's a little
that would help.
Extra thing.
Yeah. If people are playing it right now, that's
a
makes
smart
sense.
play.
I did
Then
not know
that makes sense.
Okay.
If they kind of like dropped it for free essentially, and then hey, there's a little more you could pay for. That's actually a smart move. I like that.
Next up, a surprise game I don't think we've ever heard of before. Yako Shinobi Ops, a stealth game. I'm going to go to Sean on this one. I have some thoughts as well. I thought this would be a Sean banger.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked pretty cool. I don't have too much else to say about it, but like the art style looked pretty cool. And is it co-op or no?
I don't know. I'll look it up on Steam.
Or Shinobi
yes, online co-op and co-op.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I feel like there's not a lot of stealth-esque co-op games out there. Maybe I'm forgetting some big ones, but I don't know. That's got potential, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought the art style was pretty cool. I thought we had seen this before, or maybe another game like this, but I was just trying to search around. I can't find what I'm thinking of. But I don't know if the multiplayer really drives me at all, but I thought it was a pretty interesting looking game and definitely caught my eye as well.
Yeah, I mean, this might have been the pleasant surprise of the show to me. I'm not a big stealth guy, but I've always been very firmly in the camp that the best example of it is Metal Gear Solid 1 and vision cones. And I thought this kind of field of vision and lighting system and the perspective camera that rotates, I thought it had a very unique look that, for whatever reason, read as very playable to me. I was like, I think I'm going to be able to see, my threats, understand the environment I'm in, and I don't know. It just read. It very well to me. It jumped off as this looks playable and very fun. I don't know why, but I was very intrigued by this game, and it's still a ways off. Not releasing till 2027. So
Yeah.
who knows what will change between now and then. Next up, I think another surprise game that we haven't seen before.
I think so.
Project Windless, which features a
Giant
warrior chicken.
A giant
Oh, yeah, right.
warrior chicken.
Now, it was a giant chicken. I thought this was going to go the Lies of P route. I thought it was going to be called Chicken Little. And and like the sky was falling and stuff like that. I thought it was going to be doing something like Lies of P. But what are people's thoughts? It has a bit of a Dynasty Warriors epic scale to 3D combat, but probably more depth. Any thoughts?
I mean, visually, I thought it looked pretty good. Definitely the battles, like the large scale battles, were impressive, and I think the big draw. But I don't know. When I first saw it, I was like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then as the trailer went on, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of digging this giant chicken warrior thing just coming through and killing everything. Like, I'm kind of interested to see like what this world's about that has these giant chicken warriors, at least one giant chicken warrior. And it seems like there's other sort of like large gods that you have to fight against or something like that. So I'm kind of,
it's hard not to compare it to Wukong,
right.
Black Myth, because like kind of a mythic
Yes.
monkey character in that, and large scale bosses. But the difference is like the nature of the combat is like fields of enemies like Dynasty Warriors, and I can't think of a skilled Twitch version. We don't know if this is like Twitch based or like how generic the combat is yet based on what we saw, but a game that requires Twitch skills but with hordes of enemies, I can't think of a game that's done that. So there might be an opportunity for something new there.
Yeah. The scenes kind of like reminded me of like the Lord of the Rings movies with like Sauron going through and like just smacking guys out of the way with the ring power and everything like that. So I thought it'd probably be it looked, from what I remember, like the dudes you swat away have this physics. So I bet just like, whacking dudes and watching them fly away will be pretty fun just on its own as like a silly thing. So, and the combat, I don't know, the combat looked pretty good to me. So I'm pretty interested in this game, to be honest.
It's apparently based on like a Korean book series called The Bird That Drinks Tears. So, I mean, obviously that main character is the thing that really stands out as being unique. And I'm curious what else is in this world that is kind of interesting and different as well. But yeah, I'm intrigued, I will say.
All right. And I don't think there was a release date for this, right? This is, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
2027. It's like just a project at this point. It doesn't have a title. So, but yeah, a nice little surprise. And next up, Star Wars Galactic Racer, which we had heard about before. This is we saw it before, and when it first debuted, it felt like it was going to be a pod racing game. But when you saw the nature of the vehicles, it was like evolved pod racing. Like it felt like a future version of that. But at the end of this, they did tease classic pod racing in some way at the very end. And this is by Burnout developers. So, and I'd say more so this time than last, you could see the Burnout influence. What are you guys thinking about this one?
I thought it looked okay, but nothing really got me more interested with this trailer than the last, other than I think knowing that it was the Burnout developers, and then kind of thinking like, okay, maybe they could do something along that route with Star Wars IP and it would be fun. But, they showed a lot of vehicles kind of exploding, but not really showing what happens after that. Like, is that it? Is that the end of your race? Like, you kind of have a damage meter maybe, and then that's it. That's the end of your race. So I don't know how the gameplay is going to react to that, or if it's like Burnout, you crash your car, it shows some big explosion thing, and then you're right back in. I don't know. Doesn't seem like that would
think so.
Be the what a pod racing is, but who knows?
I mean, did Burnout have multiplayer? It must have, right? I've never played Burnout
Uh,
multiplayer.
I think some of them did. I can't remember now.
Yeah, it does. It
But
looks like on Steam. So, because yeah, I kind of always played it more in a single player story. So it was
Yeah,
I very rarely died. So I don't know what happens in those scenarios.
I thought in the multiplayer, I mean, it was 20 years ago, but I thought the multiplayer was more like a stunt mode kind of thing, like who can get the most crash points or whatever. But I
yeah,
could
I
be
remember
wrong.
because I do remember there being like that question of how would they do this in because there's like the slowdown and everything,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't know if they ever figured that out in online, but yeah, I mean, I think the thing I'm most curious about is like, is there a story? Like, obviously, there's some cutscenes and things you see. Like, I'd be definitely intrigued to play it if there's like a full kind of story behind the whole thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be amazing, but that would be kind of the angle I'd be most interested in. Um, but yeah, it looks kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for it. I think it looks great, and I love Burnout, or I did love Burnout, and I think a Star Wars take on it will be awesome. So I can't wait. Got an update on First Light. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I don't have anything to add unless you guys do.
Nope.
No,
Still very excited for this game. Next was, I think we got into the Konami section. So they were highlighting a bunch of Konami published games in a diverse lineup. They were kind of hyping up Konami in this, which I think on last week's show we started talking about when they were going to get out of making their games, and that's when Kojima left, and they were going to focus all on gambling machines. And
yeah,
feels like they've pivoted back pretty quickly.
yeah,
But I feel like the game, other than maybe one other thing that people were talking about after this, was the fact that Metal Gear Solid 4 is coming to a platform other than PS3, which apparently people have wanted to play and haven't had ways to play it. So the first announcement was Metal Gear Solid Master Collection 2, which features Metal Gear Solid 4 and Peace Walker, the PSP game. And to me, this is the game I heard the most about afterwards, which is kind of shocking to me.
yeah. I agree. People were talking about it, and I mean, I never played either of these games, so it is a little bit intriguing. But I've got a lot of Metal Gear catching up to do. Let's be honest. So, the one thing I was surprised about wasn't there another PSP game? Am I
There
misremembering?
was like
I thought so as well.
I mean, they had one of those like, I think, well, on top of Peace Walker, I thought they had a second one, but it was like a VR. You know how they did like the VR
Oh yeah,
version,
Portable Ops. Is that the one?
Portable Ops. I think that's it. Yeah.
But I thought there was another full-fledged Metal Gear
Oh, there was a
portable
strategy
one.
one, Metal Gear Acid and Acid 2.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's just the fact that there's only two games in the collection. I thought maybe there might be another one in there, but
Yeah. I
yeah.
thought maybe they would throw in five, but then I looked and five came out in 2015. It doesn't seem that long ago, but that's a long
Yeah.
time ago that it came out. You'd think they would slip it in here, but I guess maybe they're gonna wait for Volume 3 to put that one in there. Maybe with the Acid games that you talked about.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's more that you can play that game currently on PS5, I think, and
Sure.
it's not something that needs to be in a collection. But yeah, I'm mildly excited for this. I know I played through all of Metal Gear Solid 4 when it released originally on PS3,
Yeah.
and I remember loving it, but I'd be curious to revisit it now.
I think
and
I
see how it holds
remember
up.
the last cutscene is like 2 hours long. I think that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing I take away the most from that. And you probably couldn't pause it in classic PS3 fashion.
Yeah, I remember the camo system, the active camo,
Yeah.
being way better than Metal Gear 3 and just making sense. And it was almost like a proof that the camo system in Metal Gear 3 was clumsy and didn't really work, having to go to a menu and swap it out every 3 seconds, depending on where you were. And I remember the install screen with the cigarette, where it's him smoking
Oh,
a
yeah.
cigarette and it burning down and the ashes being accurate, which was incredible. And I just remember the second level, I think, being like you're in a city at night with like a trench coat and walking around a city with your
Yeah.
earpiece. It was
Very
kind of
like
neat.
noir.
Yeah, that's all I remember from it though. But I
That's
remember
funny. I
liking
have
it.
very similar vivid memories of that, like the like black and white, almost like rainy scenes or whatever for the cutscenes as well. And
Oh,
like,
and one other thing I remember, I think you do a flashback where you play PS1 Sniper Wolf fight in that. Like it's a story flashback, which was very cool.
I'm shocked you haven't played that, Dwight. Seems like Metal Gear would be your
I
jam.
mean, like it's weird. Like I literally the only one I've ever beat is the first one.
That was probably research. You're
Well,
probably playing it at work.
Well, that is when I beat it. But the only other one I put really any time into was part two, and I guess played briefly three, and then I think that was maybe played. What was that one that was like before part five? That was like the demo almost.
Oh,
Ground Zeroes.
yeah, Zero.
Yeah, I played a bit of that one too, but that was it. I think I just kept thinking I'll go back and play them all, and I never did. So,
Oh, I definitely remember Ground Zeroes. It was a demo that they charged $50 for.
oh
and
yeah,
The Order 1886 got a 6 because it was only 6 hours long, but that game got an 8.5 on IGN as a glorified demo. So I haven't forgotten at all anything about Ground Zeroes. Darwin's Paradox update with a demo, which we all downloaded but didn't play. I have nothing to add. Still excited for this game. Octopus puzzle platformer.
yeah. I'm just glad there's a release date now.
April, I believe.
April 2, I wrote down.
Okay. Next was probably the biggest announcement from the show, I would say, from a general public perspective or traction. And it's Castlevania Belmont's Curse, a new 2D Castlevania game, Metroid-like. I won't even include Vania for a Castlevania game. But again, obviously thought of Sean for this one. I feel like he has asked for this or would be the
Yeah,
thing he's most excited for.
I've been hoping, and I kind of thought, yeah, there might be something coming. I mean, there's a little part of me that's like disappointed that it's like a 2D pixel kind of throwback Metroidvania instead of like some new AAA. Like I'd be curious what that would be, I guess. But I mean, yeah, I'm still very excited. And I think it is the developers behind Dead Cells and
Rogue Prince of Persia.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's in pretty good hands. I'm not, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I guess the question would just be like, there was something about the art style to me that didn't quite have the atmosphere of like the original games.
Yeah.
Just something.
I wrote down the
was
same
missing.
thing. I wrote down the same note. Something is missing. I don't know if it's like the lighting. Like it doesn't feel as, like dark and oppressive or something like that. Like I always remember, playing Symphony of the Night and it just feels eerie. Like it feels like you're going into somewhere scary, and I never really got that vibe with this one. I don't know if it's like the audio or just the art style, but there was something about the art style that almost felt maybe like the character disconnected from the environment or something like that. I don't know. I had a hard time putting my finger on it too, but there was definitely something about it just did not give me Castlevania vibes. And
Yeah, I'm kind of going the opposite of Sean. Like, I think I thought it wasn't pixelated enough. Like, it's a very glossy art style, closer to Prince of Persia, that I thought for sure they would be leaning into the aesthetics of Symphony of the Night and the Game Boy Advance games in like a modern way. Not to say I think it looks bad. I think they're like some of the effects and animations, particularly on some of the bosses I'm looking at right now, look great. So I have heard people saying, if this didn't have the Castlevania name attached to it, would anyone even care if they just saw this footage? Which I think is a relevant point to make, but I don't know. I think it looks pretty good, and I'm personally excited, perhaps more than I would have been because I loved Rogue Prince of Persia so much. So I'm very excited for this game.
when I
You know,
first,
the
oh, go ahead, Sean.
just on the point of would anyone care if it didn't have the Castlevania name? I think that's the problem when you start off this whole genre as basically just Metroid and Castlevania. Now, fast forward, 20 years or whatever, and there's so many of these games out there, and now we're going back, trying to go back and be like, oh, but wait, this is a Castlevania one. It's like, well, we've been spoiled with how many of these games there are. You really got to do something different. And that's why I was kind of maybe hoping it would be more of like a AAA thing, but it's fine.
And that's why I was like kind of thinking maybe the way Sons of Sparta does, not that successfully in my opinion, leaning into a pixelated art style would connect it with that series more. I think a big part will be the music. Like when I think of Symphony of the Night, I think of the music. And I also think of what people say is the reason it's Metroidvania rather than Metroid-like, which still makes no sense to me, is that it brought the idea of like RPGifying it to it. But I mean, there's no RPG elements to many of the games people call Metroidvania. So that argument is null and void in my opinion. But I didn't see RPG aspects to this, which I thought was kind of weird. And that's something that those games, like seeing numbers flash on the screen and your character, the iconic leveling up pause in Symphony of the Night, like that's the stuff I thought they were going to lean into a bit more or have a modern version of those things. And I'm curious to see if that is there in the final version of the game, because I think they could be connecting the dots a bit more on some of this stuff.
So I'm rewatching. I do see some numbers occasionally on enemies, so maybe there is some sort of, damage amount. But for me, when I saw sort of like the initial intro and then they played some of the cinematics, like kind of interspersed, it also made me just really want a game that is like completely in the art style of that cartoon that came out on Netflix. And, just like a full, almost like, like kind of like the art style of Solom, to be honest, like something more in that vein. But
it does look like there's
I think it's pretty close.
Some cutscenes that are trying to tie into that a little bit.
I agree. The cutscenes do, but there's something about the gameplay that doesn't capture that same vibe. I'm having trouble putting my finger on it, but yeah. Also, like the cut. I was just looking at the key art for it, like of the character standing with the cape to the left. Like, isn't that the exact same thing as Dead Cells? Isn't that like the exact same pose and
Rogue Prince of Persia, I think.
And Rogue Prince of Persia. Okay, like, am I losing my mind? Like, is that just like the thing that sells games now? That key art or something? I don't know.
And it's a what are they called? Evil Empire thing? Maybe I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But I got to say, the more I look at it, I'm getting sold more and more with everything I see. So I wasn't that crazy about it during the initial presentation, but now I'm in 100%.
Yeah, the animations are really smooth.
Yeah. Next up, another Silent Hill. They're just pumping these things out these days. Feels like they probably have some shared engine systems or like systems built in place that they can feed it to other studios and just have them fire these games out with different art and story. So this one, Silent Hill Townfall, I don't remember where it takes place, but I think it's entirely first person, which is kind of different. And it had something similar to the first game with a radio that was alerting you to where enemies were. I mean, I'm not the biggest Silent Hill guy, but I thought it looked decent.
Yeah, I thought it looked okay too. It looked pretty scary, to be honest. And at the end, I don't know if you saw, there was like a little movie or something as like the beach waves crashing, but they had put it all red, so it looked like blood. And I thought that was like very eye-catching and a pretty good visual to tie to the game. And I didn't originally pick it up as like the ocean. I thought it was just kind of like blood moving or something. I don't know. There was something about it that really drew me in and like captivated me.
And I should say it's coming out this year. Like we had Silent Hill F last year, which did pretty well. Silent Hill 2 the year before. and this one, another one this year. So
Yeah, and this one is from Screenburn.
yeah, I looked them up. They have no other games on Steam, so that is the one thing that.
Well, they made Observation,
Okay.
which I've heard good things about. I don't think I've played it, but and Stories Untold, which was more of like a adventure
Oh
game
yeah, I played that.
type thing.
That was good.
So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Like they definitely seem to be grabbing a few different developers and tossing the property to them and saying, what can you do with this? And I mean, it seems like they're getting a pretty cool variety of results. I'm definitely into it. I still want to go back to Silent Hill F. Who knows if I actually will, but yeah, it's just too many damn games. But I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah. Next up is a first look at a game called Rev Noir, which I believe is a like kind of an action JRPG, and it was kind of teasing this unique like animated aesthetic art style with this golden rain and a unique looking world for the most part. I wasn't like my head wasn't exploding looking at it, but I thought the combat looked decent and I thought it was a pleasant surprise. I think it's a ways out though.
Yeah, I had a similar feel. It was kind of like this art style now always reminds me of like Genshin Impact. And so I always like compare games to that with this like anime style. I don't know exactly what this game's going to turn out to be in terms of like the RPG aspects of it, but I'm going to keep it on my radar.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was some element of this trailer that kind of caught my eye, but rewatching it, it's not really, I'm not seeing it. So I'm not sure, but it's, I don't know. Good.
Yeah, to me, it was just some of the combat encounters looked kind of good. It actually reminded me of a Nintendo game, like a
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
That was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, I was getting like maybe they're trying to tap into the potential for something like that on an like third party scale on all platforms. It's only on the PlayStation Store right now. To add it as a wish list, it's not on Steam, so I don't know if it's going to be timed PlayStation exclusive. I don't remember that, but maybe. I'm surprised it's not on Steam if it's on the PlayStation Store. Next up, from Saber Interactive, a John Wick game, which I think I messaged you guys. I can't believe, I know there's John Wick Hex, but there has not been just 20 John Wick games that are shooters crazy. Or like how they didn't make Super Hot with John Wick.
And there was also, what was that other VR game that's basically John Wick, but with
Pistol
rhythm?
Whip?
Yeah, Pistol Whip.
Yeah, like just, getting a license to take some of that stuff and turn it into John Wick. It's shocking to me that it hasn't happened yet. And I mean, they did a nice little reveal, although I don't think there's much gameplay.
I don't think so.
They kept hiding John Wick's face so that everyone thinks, oh, they didn't get Keanu for this. Like it's gonna be some like
lookalike.
Looks almost like Keanu. Troy Baker probably gonna do his voice or something like that.
Yes.
And then they just give you the Keanu right at the end. So I thought that was a good way to hold on to that secret.
Yeah, I mean it seems cool, but yeah, it just wasn't a lot of gameplay. I'm imagining you've got to have a lot of combat where you're using things in your environment and all that stuff. So hopefully they can live up to that name.
Yeah, there's obviously, I don't know what Saber Interactive have made, or the developers, but I mean, I'm obviously reminded of Sifu, and I think people mentioned that in the Discord, and that Midnight Fight Express, which was a top-down version almost of John Wick. So,
yeah,
I mean, even those could be reskinned as John Wick games, and they wouldn't have to change much. So, it's I guess for Sifu they'd have to have guns, but it looks pretty good. Or I'm kind of excited by the proposition. I feel like it matches up perfectly with the world of video games. Next up, an update on Marathon and some more gameplay, including some stealth stuff and like avoiding enemies that I wasn't really aware was in the game, like big enemies that they're not engaging in combat. Coming March 5th, and they're doing was it Server Smash weekend? Is that what it was called?
Server Slam.
Server Slam. And I think that's February 28th weekend or around there, just before the release.
Yeah. I mean, I'll definitely try to check out the Server Slam. I'm very curious to see what happens with this game because, obviously, we've been seeing extraction shooters kind of get a little more popular because of Arc Raiders. And it's like, does this benefit from that or does it get destroyed because Arc Raiders is already so popular and has so many people playing? And I still don't obviously it felt like there was some backlash because of stuff from last year with like the AI thing and I don't know, some other things. So I don't know if the public perception has shifted or what, but I have no idea how this is going to do.
Yeah,
I think it's going to do poorly. I think people's minds are made up already, and I hate when people do that because I think it looks amazing. Even the extraction elements are anything close to Helldivers, in my opinion, which does it right, and I just think aesthetically it feels so unique. This kind of commitment to squares and right angles rather than everything that seems to be going kind of spherical and like not a rigid look to art styles, including like the sights on the guns are always boxes rather than being round, and this kind of voxel aesthetic. As long as it plays well, I am 1000% in and kind of hyped for it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean,
I do like the colors.
Yeah, I think it looks.
I love the color palette too.
I think it looks pretty good. I think I got full faith in Bungie to make. Right, this is Bungie. Am I going nuts?
Yeah.
Okay. To like make a really solid online multiplayer shooter. I mean, they've been doing it for a long time now. So I think the game will be fun. I think they're probably gonna do well. I don't think it's going to be for me. I probably will not pick it up or even try it at all. So I'm interested to see what people's takes are, though, once it drops. I am worried that people will just shit on it for whatever reason. I don't know. Like they're
like Highguard and Concord. It feels like it's already been relegated to that territory.
They're discouraged like Destiny players, so they're just going to be like, why are you abandoning Destiny to make Marathon or some bullshit like that? So we'll see, where it lands.
It brings up the question of like, is it even possible to launch a new kind of like online shooter without people just automatically shitting on you at this point? Like, what is it going to take? Yeah, I mean, that did it, but it just feels like people are, especially if you're coming from, an existing IP or a developer that's done other things, people do not want to see you shift into this zone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but I think it looks pretty good. Next up, just some PlayStation Plus announcements, which I don't have anything to add except Sean. I know a game you were pretty hyped for, Big Walk.
Oh yeah,
which looks like friend slop, possibly friend slop that I'm the most interested in and have heard of before, coming to PlayStation Plus day one.
Yeah, some of the puzzle stuff they were showing was kind of definitely intriguing me. And yeah, on PlayStation Plus, like I'll be checking it out for sure.
Next up, another Saros update, which we've seen lots of by now. I'm probably the one who's the most hyped for this, being a huge Returnal fan and Housemarque fan, and looks very similar. I think based on what we saw this time, they are getting away from the things that people didn't like about Returnal, which is that you have to play through all 3 biomes in a row for long runs. They're saying you can jump back into any biome at any time. They're highlighting more transparent and obvious progression systems in between runs that actually allow the player to choose things a bit more. You're kind of at the mercy of you know, giving, I remember certain economies that would unlock things that were random to some degree. And this is like letting people make choices as to what they want to invest in for future runs. So I feel like there's been a concerted effort to push away from some of the things that people had problems with in Returnal, which is interesting because, you know, like with Hollow Knight, they would do the opposite. I think they'd be like, no, we made that game the way we wanted it. And we made it that way because that's what we think it should be. And we're not changing anything, which is what they did with Silksong for the most part. If anything, they leaned into difficulty a bit more. And it's curious to know how much of that is Housemarque's decision versus a push from Sony to sell more copies or make it more accessible. And I'm just curious to see where some of that stuff goes. I personally think it will improve the experience. I think the complaints people had about Returnal were justified in a lot of ways. So I think they're just going to figure everything out, and this game is going to be absolutely incredible. And I think it'll be my game of the year.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I gotta admit, like I never got into Returnal, but this game looks like they took Returnal and just leveled up everything about it. Like it looks really good.
And a focus on, I think, borrowing from the idea of heat in Hades, and they had like ways of changing the difficulty and tweaking things and unlocking a harder mode for future runs, which I think is all, you know, extending the replayability of it, which, you know, once you kind of did the story in Returnal, there weren't a ton of reasons to replay it other than the extra mode they added, like a daily score mode, which wasn't all that compelling to me personally. But yeah, I am pumped for Saros. Next up, a release date and an update with the Uncanny X-Men for Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls from Arc System Works. And what was it August 8th or August 6th? Coming out this year. No word on the new fight stick from Sony or when you can pre-order that, which I was waiting for, but I'm really hyped for this game, but we've talked about it a lot. So is anyone else?
No.
It looks amazing. I just wish I was a little more excited for it, but it looks great.
I will say I had a positive experience with the beta, which I tried. So I love the idea of getting in on the ground floor on a fighting series and, you know, not having to compete against people who have played, you know, every version of Street Fighter or Tekken. And although I'm sure a lot of...
I did the same thing when Street Fighter 4 came out back in the day. And when they went to that like anime kind of cell shaded art style. And let me tell you, the real fighter people, they come out of the woodwork real fast and whoop your ass like within a week. You got like a 1 week window to enjoy these games before you just get smacked down.
That's what I like about like doing competitive multiplayer stuff on Nintendo, because sometimes you're playing against probably more often kids and stuff like that. And it's like, I find I do okay. I don't win I win sometimes I fail, but I have a nice range of experiences where just thinking of people playing Street Fighter 3 at Silicon Knights, like it was insane. I'm like, I'll never be this good ever. It's like a lost cause. But I am excited for this one. And the last part of the show, which I think was up there for biggest surprises and things people were talking about, was an update from the God of War franchise, including the trilogy remake. This was all introduced by the original Kratos voice actor. And so this is a ways off. Even he said that. Like, this is just early phases of development. Felt a little cheap working it in there. Who knows when this is coming, but hey, I love the first three God of Wars, and I think a modern tech version of those things will be incredible.
Yeah. I can't even imagine the like God of War 3 like Poseidon fight. It's gonna be it's gonna be great.
I can't wait to see like the Hydra fight, like the first fight of part 1.
Yeah.
Just a modern take on that is gonna be incredible.
Yeah.
Well, like what do we think this is actually going to be though? Like how faithful, like Will they try to make it more in the style of the last two games? Is that even possible? Like, I'm just so curious.
I think it's going to be like exactly the first games. Placed cameras. I think they'll try to smooth out some of the platforming. I felt like might have been a little rough in God of War 1. But I mean, the puzzles are what they are, and they're dependent on camera perspective. So I can't see that changing a whole lot. I think it's going to be pretty faithful.
Yeah, I
It
think
is
so
a
too.
remake, not remaster. So
Interesting. Good point. And then the surprise of the show, a stealth drop, a shadow drop, a day drop for a new God of War game, 2D Metroid-like God of War Sons of Sparta, a canon storyline featuring a young Kratos before he becomes the God of War. And it's got a kind of retro aesthetic, SNES, close but not exactly SNES art style. And I don't know. I've played a few hours. Sean has as well. So Huck, what was your impression of what you saw?
Yeah. So what I saw, my first impression was that the character who you are, Kratos, is very small on the screen and takes up very little screen real estate. And then also the top, let's say third or maybe even half of the screen was almost unused the majority of the time. And like from a game dev perspective and just like an art style perspective, it seemed like an odd choice. Like there was occasionally a puzzle where there was like something up there shooting stuff down at you, but for the most part, a lot of that space was unused. So I'm kind of interested to see if that is the norm, that there's just kind of like the play space is only the bottom half of the screen and the upper half is just dead space and you're still this tiny character. It seemed kind of like a bit of a waste, to be honest, of like all the screen real estate you have and, you know, being able to show stuff off. So that was kind of shocking to me. I mean, the gameplay looked fine, I guess. Like nothing really blew me away in terms of what I saw, gameplay mechanics. And yeah, I mean, I guess some of the enemy characters looked interesting, but nothing really drove me to get it other than the fact that it's supposedly not supposedly, it's in the God of War canon, Kratos backstory. That's really the only thing that might interest me. But the gameplay didn't do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just want to say we are going to give a letter grade for this, and I have to insist we are not allowed to think our actual thoughts of the game. This is,
yeah.
I mean, we don't judge every other game in a showcase based on, you know, it doesn't come out for a year later. We have to separate the actual game from the announcement first and foremost. And we won't, Sean, let's not talk about the game here. Let's do it in what we played right afterwards.
Yep.
But I even that being said, obviously love the idea of a new 2D God of War. But the idea of like just having this spear and like a
Yeah.
you know, teenage human looking version of Kratos, not a compelling lead character to me. It just felt very
kind of
generic.
scrawny.
I'm like, and then when you see the spear in action, I'm like, when I think of God of War, I'm thinking weapons, effects, the blades of chaos, the Leviathan axe, and it just seems like such a downgrade and such a weird decision to me. But I had to buy it just on principle alone. A Sony exclusive stealth drop at the end of a state of play with a major franchise had to be purchased. No questions
asked. The blue
asked.
haze has to maintain in your households. You can't let it dissipate. You got it.
I ask for this every time.
Yeah.
And it's never a big name or a franchise. I think the last one that was pretty relevant was Metroid Prime Remastered, was a pretty good shadow drop, but it was a new game technically. So but what they showed, I'm not even that crazy about the art style. I don't think it's bad necessarily, but wasn't blowing me away as a Metroid-like aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ashamed to admit maybe I'm not ashamed, but I bought this before I had even seen the trailer. So I like watched part of the state of play and I didn't get to finish it. And I was just scanning the announcements. And as soon as I saw, I was like, because there had been rumors about this, that there was a God of War 2D Metroidvania in the works, which I was super excited about, but I didn't know if it was real. And then as soon as I was like, oh, it's real, it's out today, instant buy. And well, we'll get into whether that's a regret or not. But yeah, very exciting. I love shadow drops. Maybe there's reasons why people can't do them. Maybe there's a reason why this one was a shadow drop. But they are exciting, and I wish we got more of them. And yeah, I mean, obviously excited about the trilogy remake as well. But yeah, it was nice to have some God of War stuff in here.
Yeah, even since Huck brought it up for another game, the key art on the PlayStation Store is kind of ugly in my opinion, and it's yeah. I was expecting more even from the announcement. I was excited for it and thought it had potential, but it could have been a bigger deal visually to me. But yeah, that's all we got. That's the end of the show, and I have to say, I was like super hyped right after the show. Looking back on it, maybe not as mind blowing as I thought. I'm trying to separate that from my actual thoughts on Sons of Sparta, but even some other like Rev Noir isn't that big of a deal. Although that Shinobi Ops game is a very pleasant surprise. So, any other thoughts on the showcase before we give our letter grade?
No, I mean, I still think it was a really pretty solid showcase. I mean, obviously, the Castlevania reveal is a big one for me, but there was a bunch of things that I was excited about. There's a bunch of things that were previously announced that I felt like I got more excited about. So I was pretty happy.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I thought, considering it was like an hour 10 or so, I thought it moved pretty good and I was kind of entertained the whole time. I don't think anything kind of overstayed its welcome. You know, sometimes they do like, now here's the next 10 minutes of some game you don't care about. They never really did that. And yeah, I thought
having extended conversations with developers.
Yeah.
There was some developer stuff, but it was very brief.
Yeah, it was very brief. And, you know, it had its place. It didn't really kill the pace of the show. So I thought overall, like, pretty surprising that they were able to show this many games in an hour and a half and, you know, keep me entertained. So, you know, I thought it was
even looking back at the Game Awards and recent showcases, like the Microsoft one is like 4 games over an hour and kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I agree with Huck that like the pacing was really good. I mean, just to fill an hour and 10 minutes and not really focus on anything for more than 2 minutes or 3 minutes and have such a variety of things. I feel like overall, across what I saw internet wise, the sentiments were very positive. I didn't see a lot of negativity towards it, which is usually the default now. Anytime there's a showcase, and I agree, that sucks. Like, who cares? So it was fun to have something that felt like it mattered to some degree again as a bunch of announcements. So, like I said, Blue Haze is back. Let's give our letter grades.
I'll go A minus.
Oh, that's bold.
Just throwing it out there.
I'm also an A minus.
Whoa, you guys are, the haze is thick. Holy shit. I'm going to go, I think just a B for me. I mean, the things I'm most excited for are probably the most far off, like the God of War trilogy, that Project Windless game, which who knows if that's even going to come out. And the, what was the other game? Oh, the John Wick game. Those are all like very far out. Who knows when they're actually coming out. Yeah, and even the Kenna game I liked. So yeah, I'm going to stick with a B. I think a B is still a solid score.
All right. Let us know what you thought about the state of play, your letter grade, youtube.com/GameJunk. Discord links are there as well. Okay. Sean, do we want to talk God of War, Sons of Sparta?
I think we gotta.
Yeah,
No,
it's mandatory. After that, dud,
I'm
you
about
left.
2 to 3 hours in. I don't know where you're at.
Probably about 2.
Okay, what do you got?
I mean, a little disappointed. Could get better over time. I'm hearing like 12 hours or so is how long the game is. And I would say, I mean, first thought is the price point for this thing was 39.99 Canadian, which was about what I think that's what the new Prince of Persia was, right? The Lost Crown,
No, no,
wasn't it?
that was full price initially. It came down over time.
Are you sure? I thought it was kind of like a mid price, but at the time,
I think it was
obviously,
60 or 70 Canadian at least.
okay.
I'm almost
But
positive.
a lot of people were saying, I'm not paying that much for like a 2D Metroidvania. Like that's just not a price I will accept for that kind of game. And I will say that kind of had the same thought with this. If it was $20, I would be like, okay, fine. But $40 feels like, and the fact that it's a stealth drop, I'm like, okay, they're really just trying to get what they can out of this. They knew it wasn't going to be some amazing masterpiece. And it's pretty good. Like it's a Metroidvania. It feels a little basic. You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember that game Apotheon?
Yeah, I thought about that for sure.
Yep.
So it kind of in that vein, you're just. I'm a little surprised there's no co-op because it's you and your brother is the story, but he kind of comes in and talks to you and then leaves. And he just meets up with you in certain places. He doesn't accompany you.
But the brother has Kratos's signature tattoos. I don't know if you noticed this.
I didn't notice that.
When
That's
you get the
interesting.
character profile, he's got the red swirls and the face.
Okay.
Red face
that
on it, so
might be
this
relevant.
canonical story will factor in, I think.
Yeah. So, and like I'm assuming that there's going to be additional weapons and powers that will make this more fun. But right now, I'm just poking people with a spear, and it's a little basic. Yeah.
I would go further than saying the combat is basic. I think it's very sluggish. In particular, the block. Switching to a block, it takes like almost half a second, if not more. I find from when I hit R1 till when my block is active, and it just feels so slow. And even using the spear feels sluggish, but enemies attack very quickly. Like I find I'm constantly dying, and not for good reasons. I'm just getting, there's like a health mechanic where you hold R1 with your spear attack to gain back health. That feels clumsy to me for the most part, not intuitive, and definitely not a God of War thing that I can remember. But as you start to, enemies start to have more variation of attacks inspired by recent God of War, which like highlighted blue, you have to block, red, you have to dodge, and yellow, I think you have to avoid or something like that. But as those start to factor in more and more, and you're required to block, the issue of the sluggishness of the block becomes way more annoying. And I'm like, this is not going well. And they have like these little bat enemies and flying enemies that just, I gotta say, it kind of gets on my nerves playing it. It's not necessarily fun to play. It's also not definitively horrible or bad. It feels like, I know the word I use a lot of friction and a lot of just annoyances playing it. And I'll give some specific examples. One, early in the game, you're learning the currencies, it's kind of guiding you through the initial parts of the story. I went into the blacksmith early on before being prompted to do so, and I couldn't do anything yet. And then later on, they give you the steel bar, which is your currency for going to the blacksmith. And I go to the blacksmith, they direct you there. You have to go there to advance the story, and you can't even get anything. You still don't have enough to do it when they force you to go there, which seems like such a weird, like reward the player. This is the process. You go and level something up.
Seems like a huge mistake. Maybe you missed something that
there
they were
is, like that
No.
first area where you're kind of in the town, there's multiple ways you can go. And I noticed this with something else that was not as big a deal, but it was kind of like I got to, there's those things where you unlock like points of interest in the area
Yes.
or whatever. So I got to one of those and I didn't really know what it was, and I just held down the button and I did it. And then later on, I got to another one and it was like a little tutorial
Yeah.
prompt telling me what it was. And I was like, oh, would have been nice if I had that before.
Completely agree. When tutorial prompts pop up are like at very strange times. Sometimes they disappear automatically and I don't even get to read them. Other times you have to hold the cross button to get rid of it. And this is why the shadow drop thing can be bad. I feel like they were under a crunch to have this done, obviously, for this day. And I think there's tons of polish and little things that could have been improved that they just, well, this is the game right now. Maybe we'll fix it in the future, but it's not going to happen. And I'll say the thing I like about it, and I think what works, is the commitment to God of War aesthetics, like music, scale, scope, doing 2D versions of classic enemies, having brutal kills, although so far they're not that brutal or impressive, but I like the fact that they're there. And I find the bosses to be pretty rough, to be honest. I've done 2 bosses and they're kind of clunky. I feel like there were certain attacks that I couldn't even avoid consistently. Specifically the bird. Did you get to the bird one, Sean?
I don't think so.
Okay. Even the puzzle solving stuff is clunky. I'll often have to redo a bunch of platforming to get back into position to attempt a puzzle where you have to throw something at a distance, or it's like counterbalance platforms that are in areas that are kind of big and annoying to navigate. So it's just, it's rough. It's kind of rough to play. It's not bad, but with the God of War name attached to it, feels like it could have been in the oven a little longer. And I think the combat hook should have been much stronger to, like, in prototyping phases and pitching this game. I feel like they should have worked on a weapon or the core mechanics of combat that would be irrefutable. Like, the combat is great no matter what. If the other stuff is okay, God of War is known for combat. I don't even think it's bringing that to the table.
Yeah, and we got to mention the voice acting, which is pretty rough. I mean, it's the kind of thing where it feels like placeholder stuff for some of the characters, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, you can improve that if you just put the money in to get better actors, but they probably just cut their losses. They were like, okay, it's pretty good, it's playable the way it is now, let's just release it. And so that's kind of where it's at. I don't think it's terrible, but I guess buyer beware.
Yeah, I bet it would be very interesting when they decided to say, you know what, let's just finish it and do a shadow drop. If it gets reviewed, I don't think it's going to do all that great for a God of War game. It's going to have a negative bias against it immediately. So let's pivot to trying to get surprise excitement about it and a bunch of sales through that. Feels like it happened at some point. But another, like, just annoying thing, and this might happen in actual recent, like, major God of War games too. When you get a prompt for something new in your archive or journal in the game world and you hit the touchpad to go into it, you have to hit the back button or circle like 3 times to go back. I'm like, you must be able to hit the pad just to go back. Like, I can't do this every time. Nope. You got to back all the way out. And all the complaints about the clunkiness of upgrading hilts and parts of your weapons in God of War and God of War Ragnarok, which were the worst part of that game, in my opinion. Like, the menu management and inventory management sucks. They're still here. Like, they're staying true to it, and they're staying true to one of the worst parts of the other game. Like, it's very unintuitive what you're trying to upgrade and how you do it. It's just kind of shocking decisions to me, to be perfectly honest. And I don't know. I'm probably going to stick with it just because, and it's God of War, and I kind of want to give it a chance for doing what it does in the blue haze world. But yeah, buyer beware. It is, from what I've played, not a strong game.
Yes.
Calliope, the daughter's voice acting in particular, is like egregiously bad. The original Kratos actor is Kratos as the narrator telling a story. He's still good. He's the best part by far. Like, everyone else is, and you can't skip dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, that's frustrating too. And even the jump doesn't feel good. Like, it just doesn't feel good. it feels very average. It's competent, but it is not tight controls, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like we were saying with the Castlevania announcement, like there's just so many Metroidvanias right now. It's like just to have a basic Metroidvania is not enough. It's got to have something unique about it, and this doesn't so far.
Even Mio, like I think like people complain that the combat wasn't deep enough in Mio. I'm like, combat in that game is way better than this. Like at least it feels good even to do the basic attacks. Like using the spear is so forgettable and just like it has no spectacle and it doesn't feel responsive. Like it feels very sluggish. I think we said that word a bunch pre-show. It's just a sluggish game. Even like jumping through platforms, it's not your regular jump down. You have to do triangle because that's what you used to grab onto ladders, and just kind of baffling design, like control decisions specifically to me.
Yeah, to respond to what you were saying about the trailer, Huck, like I think I was kind of rewatching the trailer. I think they're just showing off in the trailer a lot of the environments where there's like something cool in the background. But like the game itself, there's a lot of platforming and verticality to it. So I think it was just by choice. That was the stuff they were showing in the trailer, but I don't think that reflects the game itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually like some of the background artwork, like when you're approaching the city and there's like birds flying. Like, I think the background art is the strongest part of the game art wise. I think it's actually pretty good. It's the character stuff, especially like the human characters in the city. They look like so awkward. They have like this weird posture, and I don't know. It's a weird game to talk about. I feel like everyone's saying the same thing. It's not horrible, but it's not great. And where does a game like this fit in nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like why it's got the God of War name. Sony's, promoting it in this state of play. They could have put more time and money into it, I assume, but they just chose not to.
Yeah, I think they, based on gameplay, made a judgment call. I think they made the right judgment call personally from a financial standpoint. But I mean, obviously they should be intervening early with, feedback and prototyping some of this combat. Like I can't believe it got to that point, to be honest, for a God of War game. But kind of what Huck was saying about the screen space and the character feeling small, I agree. But I guess I would have lent that to the idea of one of the things that defines God of War, in my opinion, and that I love, is how it plays with scale. And it was the first series that would pull out a camera to show a bridge and make Kratos super small on screen, and it like gave you the feeling of like just epicness associated with gods. And I'd say that's a trademark of the series. But it also does the reverse. Like for brutal kills, it would zoom in on things and close the distance and get you close to the characters.
Yeah, it was cinematic.
Yeah. And that's what I think is missing in this. Like, even for a 2D game, like the brutal kills, zoom in on that. Like, that's your opportunity to pull in a bit and showcase the art and, really make it feel like a more cinematic game, like Huck's saying, which I think, I don't know if we'll talk about it. We should probably wait till next week, but Replaced, I think, does a much better job of that and has their version of brutal kills in the brief time I spent with the demo. So, just a strange game overall. Love the shadow drop, but I don't know. There's a reason, as Sean said, there's a reason it's a shadow drop or a stealth drop. Can we come up with a better name for this? Shadow stealth? What does that even fucking mean? Like, it's not like you don't know it's there. They announce it's coming out.
Yeah, but it wasn't pre-announced, so.
Yeah, but like it's more of a surprise. It's like a megaton, but it's
a megaton drop, sure.
Yeah, it's something else. There's Insta Drop, maybe. Yeah, there's got to be a better name.
Auto Drop instead of Auto Pop.
Oh, now we're talking.
Now we're getting there. Give us your name ideas in the comments on youtube.com/GameJunk. All right, I have other games I played, but not a lot. We've gone a while. I'm fine with waiting until next week. I felt we had to talk about Sons of Sparta.
Yeah. Yeah, we can save other stuff for next week.
Including Reanimal, Mario Tennis Fever, Mugenics, maybe the
Place
Darwin's
demo.
Paradox demo, Replace demo. So still lots of stuff to talk about. Is there a big release this week?
Hello, Virtual Boy.
Oh yeah, mine. We were just checking our shipping progress. Sean and I will be getting it on Tuesday. Sean,
you guys
is
better not take
20
those.
minutes ahead of me in terms of getting in the truck today in Etobicoke.
Oh boy.
And I ordered first.
You know what? I bet
I
if I
told
put my
him
order
about
in right now, I bet I'd get it before either of you guys. So take that.
No
Maybe.
chance, bro.
I heard
no
they're
one
out
can
of
buy these.
I heard they're out of stock right now. I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah, because they only
Hell
made
yeah.
10 of them. So no one's going to buy
Even
them.
better. That
know.
would make me
You
so
better not
happy. If I'm
unwrap-
one of 10 people,
You better not
that
unwrap
has it,
yours.
don't worry. It probably might not, it might not happen. I should just buy the cardboard one and use that and just keep the other one pristine.
Should.
I still got my Ouya ready to go. Who wants an Ouya? Unused.
good.
What's that thing worth? All right. That's going to do it. Thank you for listening or watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.